The October 9th, 2023 Mason City Council meeting. I'm going to call this meeting to order and ask for the roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Here.
Councilmember Bradburn,
Present.
Councilmember Hackey,
Here.
Councilmember Grossman,
Here.
Mayor Spaeth.
Here. I'm going to ask for everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. And we're to item 4. I need a motion to approve the minutes from the September 11th council meeting and the September 26th special council meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Next is the city manager's report. Eric?
Thank you, Mayor. I have several items here, so I'm going to try and move through those and maybe take care of some of the items on our agenda as well. First item, just want to remind folks, as part of celebrating Mason's ranking as the 4th best place to live, during the month of October, we're focusing on initiatives related to safety. All of the activities that our police and fire departments provide includes Fire Prevention Week this month, monthly CPR classes, women's self-defense classes, car seat checks, community swim clinics, Halloween safety this month, as well as the campus safety team. And I'm hoping, there's Chief Wells. If Chief Wells can come up, one thing we'd like to take care of now, out of respect for one of our special guests, our newest staff members, I guess Chief Wells might call them, is talk a little bit about our partnership with Kings Island. That is a key part of our campus safety program. I hope Mike Kuntz is in the audience. There's Mike. Mike may need to come up next to Chief Wells. Kings Island has been a consistent supporter of the City of Mason's Police Department, our K-9 program, and has funded several of the K-9 officers that we've had that have now been retired, and is with Kings Island's generous support that the K-9 team's newest officer, I think Chief Wells will introduce, has been able to put in service. So with that, I'd like to ask Chief Wells to discuss the program.
Thank you, Mr. Hanson. We do have a special guest we want to recognize tonight, and to elaborate more on the details, I'm going to ask Captain Dyer to come up here. She is our operations captain and handles our K-9 program, just to discuss a little bit further into detail the partnership that we have with Kings Island.
Been this way down, I'm not as tall. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Council. I just want to thank everyone for coming tonight, and at this time, I'd like to introduce Mike Kuntz and Officer Puckett, if you would bring yourself and K-9 Timber up. Mr. Kuntz is the General Manager and Vice President of Kings Island since November of 2016. He does have a few words he would like to speak. If we give him just one moment here.
Thank you very much, Assistant Chief Dyer, Chief Wells, Officer Puckett, and Timber, good to see you. Mayor Spaeth, Vice Mayor Nelson, City Council, City officials, City residents, and honored guests. It is truly Kings Island's honor to be able to present tonight a check for $20,000 to the city to sponsor and assist in the acquisition, the training, the support and care for K-9 Officer Timber. As City Manager Hanson just mentioned, safety is Kings Island's first priority. Safety for our guests and safety for our associates. And certainly the City of Mason provides first-class support, and not only its police protection, fire protection, emergency services, and now, in addition, after the retirement of Banshee a few months ago, we now have a new support officer, Timber. So congratulations, Officer Puckett, and welcome, Timber. We look forward to seeing you at the park very soon. And I have something for you, Timber.
kind of give you guys some background, Kings Island has consistently supported the City of Mason Police Department K-9 program. They funded several of the department's canines, including retired K-9 Banshee in 2016, and our current K-9 officer, Officer Orion, who started her career in 2019. With most recently, Kings Island has continued this partnership and obviously has funded the K-9's newest officer, Timber, and Officer Puckett. Timber is a 3-year-old shepherd. It came from Holland. So Officer Puckett's been with us 5 years as well. And we're recently been certified as a dual-purpose K-9 unit with Southern Ohio Police K-9, specializing in explosive detection. So we'd like to welcome them to the department and welcome Officer Timber too. So, and with that, Mr. Kuntz, we would like to present to you a little token of our appreciation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Would you like a picture? Get a picture, please. Just go.
Ask council if you'd like to get a picture with Timber and Kings Island together at the front.
Mike, before you go, Captain Dyer's carrying in the boxes. The city created a coffee mug with a picture of Timber on it, as well as our logos here. So we want to present this to you as a gift as well.
Thank you.
And there's some more in the boxes to bring back to your staff. So when you're drinking your coffee in the morning, you can look at Timber with his tongue hanging out there. So
I do have one more
Thank
thing.
you. Thank you.
Did you already talk about Cincy, Sammy?
no.
So we do have a small business partner as well. Cincy Sammy actually produced cookies on the fly for us, which was awesome. Gave us some biscuits for Timber himself, and then also some to provide to Kings Island and the council. So just wanted to give them a round of applause too for the quick service.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Well, that was the fun part. I've got some other items, though. It's this time of year that City Council typically authorizes the purchase of a holiday gift card for city employees. This year, as the past several years, has been proven very helpful at Come Together Mason e-gift card. If council would like to again include that for city employees, a motion would be appropriate.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
When opposed? Okay, thank you.
I think Banshee, or Timber, feels like he's getting one too. I don't know. Next item of business in your packet is a description of a Trex transfer application for Takira CDMX. This is an opportunity for the city to allow a existing business, Takira CDMX, to essentially transfer a liquor permit from outside the jurisdiction of Mason for an economic development purpose to support their business. The city has done this, especially in the downtown area, on a few occasions. What they're seeking is a D1, a D2, and a D3 permit. State law allows them to accomplish this through a transfer from an outside jurisdiction with the city's approval. As was before you tonight, this is a separate action. If this is approved, then it would go through the typical liquor permit process through the state. It would come back to City Council for your opportunity to request a hearing or not request a hearing. If council is supportive of authorizing the Trex agreement, a motion to that effect would be appropriate.
Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you.
Have a series of, it's that time of year when lots of events and activity involving council and the public go on, so we'd like to move through some of those. The Mason Historical Society's annual cemetery walk is scheduled for Tuesday, October 10th, 7 p.m., with a rain day of October 11th. That has grown in popularity, an opportunity to hear from those that have passed on via Rose Hill Cemetery and get a picture of the city's history. Tickets are available through the Historical Society Museum. Also coming up is an increasingly popular program. The city hosts the annual Mason Corporate Challenge 5K. That's on October 14th at the Grizzly Golf and Social Lodge. Race participants receive a Come Together Mason gift card. All race proceeds benefit local charities. This is an opportunity for Mason businesses have been big supporters of this. Many of them support a team, and they choose their charity, and they participate in the race as a group. The city of Mason is participating as well. The Picture Mason Downtown Art Hop will take place on Saturday, October 21st from 3 to 7 p.m. That is a City of Mason partnered with both the local chamber as well as some local residents to provide an event that would both help display artwork produced by Mason residents as well as encourage activity at local businesses in the downtown. The event has really taken off by all accounts. It will feature live music, kids' activities, face painting, sidewalk chalk, kids' displays. Over 35 downtown businesses are participating in that Art Hop event, and again, that's on October 21st. The following day, on Sunday, October 22nd, the Mason Symphony Orchestra is performing a concert sponsored by the City of Mason at Mason United Methodist Church. It is Prokofiev's Peter and the Wolf, narrated by Elaine Deal. It will feature Royal Theater actors, an instrument petting zoo, costume parade, as considered a family, sensory-friendly concert. Premier members as well as veterans can receive discount tickets. All that can be done through masonsymphonyorchestra.org. Also coming up is the Mason Deerfield Chamber Gyms of Excellence Awards Night. That will be Thursday, October 26th from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. Members of council interested in attending, please let Megan or Jennifer know your interest. And annually, we go to pains to announce, and it remains true this year as always, Halloween will be on October 31st. No matter what day of the week it is, no matter the weather, Halloween occurs in Mason on October 31st between 6 and 8 p.m. That continues to set the annual record as the most popular question dialed into the city every year. So I'm not sure if we can dissuade that, but it'll be October 31st. I think finally, on Saturday, November 11th, next month, the city will be hosting a very special event that is both the 20th anniversary of the city's Veterans Memorial, as well as a rededication ceremony. The event will be open to the public this year, starts at 11 a.m., and it'll be held in the south parking lot, this end of the building, near the Veterans Memorial. It's being done in partnership with the American Legion Post, as well as the VFW Post. It'll honor the tradition of an annual Veterans Day ceremony that the city has, but it will have some extra components, some special components. There will be 2 guest speakers. That will be Rick Armstrong. He is the son of Neil Armstrong, who spoke at the dedication 20 years ago. He was the first man on the moon for some of the folks out here, younger folks. As well as Shiloh Harris, who is a U.S. Army veteran, served in the Iraqi War, and has a particularly inspiring story, will speak as well. The program will include the public unveiling of the new enhancements of the memorial. That includes a Purple Heart Memorial component and a Gold Star Families Memorial. There will be a variety of events there. The Mason Symphony Orchestra will provide patriotic music, a skydiving exhibit by Team Fast Tracks, and a flyover by the Warbirds Museum. As I described that, I would like to ask council to consider moving the next 2 resolutions, Resolution 2023-24 and 2023-25. It would be appropriate maybe to address those now. And as part of that, if council's willing, ask John Looker and Dr. Taylor Purcell. Well, maybe first, John, if you'd come up front here, we could take care of the first resolution, and then Dr. Taylor, you'll have your opportunity.
Okay. We have Resolution 2023-24, and I'm going to ask Jeff to read that resolution.
Resolution 2023-24, recognizing John C. Looker for his selection into the 2023 class of the Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame. Whereas John Looker served in the U.S. Army in the 1st Cavalry Division from 1967 to 1969 during the Vietnam War, and whereas John earned 2 Purple Hearts as part of his heroic actions during the Battle of Angel's Wing on March 9th, 1969, and whereas while John's dedication to his country was demonstrated during his service in the U.S. Army, it is John's post-military altruism that truly makes him stand out. And whereas since 1998, John has been an active member of the City of Mason's organized efforts to recognize and support veterans, including the serving on the Mason Veterans Memorial Committee and Board of Veterans Affairs. And whereas John has been an active member of the American Legion Post 194 for the past 35 years, serving as commander from 2007 to 2013, where he led multiple initiatives such as the annual Memorial Day Parade and Ceremony and Veterans Ceremony, which have become a tradition in the Mason community. And whereas, in addition to his efforts in Mason, John serves as a board member on the Warren County Veterans Services Board, is an American Legion National Committee member, and held several positions for the Commanders Action Network for the Disabled Veterans of America. And whereas John has spearheaded countless initiatives in the City of Mason aimed at honoring veterans, including the military banner and yard sign program, commemorative brick programs, the City of Mason's designation as a Purple Heart City, the establishment of the POW MIA Memorial, Gold Star Family Memorial, and Purple Heart Memorial at the Mason Veterans Memorial. And whereas John's post-military accomplishments and dedication to his fellow veterans have earned him an opportunity to be inducted into the 2023 Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame. And whereas John Looker has committed a lifetime of service to veterans in Mason and beyond, and has earned the admiration, respect, and friendship of elected leaders and residents alike. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Mason, Ohio, members elected thereto concurring. Section 1, Mason City Council commends John Looker and his post-military accomplishments that have led to his introduction into the 2023 Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame. And Section 2, that this resolution shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest period allowed by law.
All right, thank you, Jeff. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, I need a motion to adopt.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, any council discussion?
Mayor?
Yes,
Yeah,
Member Hackey.
this is a big one in my book. John and I have gotten to become very close friends. I'd say the last 3 years. We're involved in a lot of veterans stuff together. We meet once a week at what we have lovingly referred to as our Liars Club, which is where several veterans get together and may tell a tall tale or two just for fun. But no, John, you're a rock star. I'm in awe of all of your accomplishments in the military and after the military. And I can't think of anyone except Purcell who deserves this as much as you do. Congratulations.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Mayor.
Member Grossman.
Hi. First of all, I'm so glad and grateful that the Lord protected you more and Dr. Purcell. And I truly believe that we're each gifted by God to live out a calling on our life. And I'm so grateful and glad that he called you and Dr. Purcell to shepherd our local veterans the way you have. It's just remarkable what you accomplished in battle and in the military, but what you've accomplished coming out of that it's immeasurable, the impact that you've had on people's lives, especially coming home from the Vietnam War, which was very difficult. And so I just want to thank you both, and I just thank the Lord that He brought you to our community and protected you and equipped you to serve so many that have needed it. It's been a real blessing and an honor to get to know you serving on council. So I really just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Mayor.
Yes.
Mr. Looker, I absolutely adore you. I really, really do. There is no one more deserving of this recognition than you. I have stood beside you and watched you as you helped our veterans through the Blue Skies organization. I've watched you put your time, talent, and effort towards our Veterans Memorial. I've seen you help our veterans with the American Legion. The list just goes on and on. What your impact to our community and to our veterans is unmeasurable. And I thank you and I admire you. So congratulations on this award. Well deserving.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay.
Just briefly, I guess I first met John through Pat Shea many years ago. And Pat was a pretty decent guy. I mean, more decent guy. He was a great guy. And, you know, the dedication that Pat showed for the Sons of the American Legion, you were there for them also. So I know that Pat appreciated it, I appreciated it, and well-deserving. Unfortunately, you had to go through war, and what's going on today now in Israel, I'm quite sure that all the veterans can relate to it to some degree. But it's a sacrifice that many take. I know my dad is a World War II vet. He never spoke about it. That was unless he got with a World War I vet, and then they went ahead and had some discussion. But you're well-deserving, you're well-known in the community, and congratulations, and many more healthy years for you.
Thank you, Tony.
Okay, thank you. I don't think there's a whole lot more than that I can say that everybody else hasn't already said, but ever since I've been on council for, which is what, like 10 years now, you've been around. You've been in this community for a long time. And I see some of our gentlemen here in the front row, I think, probably know you as well because you've been around as long as they have doing things for this community and for our veterans. I mean, oh my gosh, you are involved in everything in this community that involves veterans. And I don't know what else to say to you, but this is so well-deserved and so exciting. We're so proud that you represent our community, and just thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thanks,
Really
Barb.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Mayor, if I might add some context, the Veterans Hall of Fame was created just a couple of decades ago, in 1992, as a way to recognize the accomplishments of Ohio's strongest veterans. Each year, there's an executive committee that reviews hundreds and hundreds of nominations and then selects a maximum of 20 candidates throughout the state of Ohio each year that are formally inducted into the Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame. That occurs in November. We've worked for a couple of years, many folks in the audience here, to make sure that Mason was represented in that Veterans of Fame with one nomination. And this year, we were blessed with an abundance to have two. So that is quite an accomplishment when you consider throughout the state there are 20 veterans that are eligible, that are inducted into the Hall of Fame, chosen from hundreds. And the city of Mason is honored to have two with us tonight and soon to be in the Hall of Fame. So with that, maybe it's appropriate to ask Dr. Taylor to come forward.
Should I do the roll call first?
Well, I guess you better bring
Okay.
it on.
Let's have roll call on this
I
first.
didn't want to make it awkward if you didn't want to vote.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman? Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Okay, so our next resolution is Resolution 2023-25, and I'm going to ask Jeff to read this one also.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution 2023-25, recognizing Dr. Purcell Taylor for his selection into the 2023 class of the Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame. whereas Dr. Purcell Taylor served in the United States Marines from 1959 to 1965, where he served as a weapons repair and artillery safety officer in Okinawa, Japan, and Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, as well as fought in the Vietnam War during the early years of the conflict. And whereas after his honorable discharge, Dr. Taylor began his pursuit of what would be a lifelong career in the field of psychiatry and education, becoming the first African American at the University of Cincinnati to receive a doctorate degree in psychology. And whereas Dr. Purcell Taylor is a strong, dedicated leader within his field of work in psychology, becoming the first African American at the University of Cincinnati to receive a doctorate degree at the School of Psychology. And whereas Dr. Taylor has made a lifelong commitment to research and development, which he has had a profound impact in the field of psychology, and that impact will benefit students and professionals for generations to come. And whereas Dr. Taylor is an active member of the VFW Post 9622 and American Legion Post 194 in Mason, and serves as a peer mentor in the Warren County Veterans Court, allowing him to use his expertise to rehabilitate veterans who have found themselves in the criminal justice system. And whereas Dr. Taylor's post-military accomplishments and dedication have earned him an opportunity to be inducted into the 2023 Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame. And whereas Dr. Purcell Taylor has earned the respect and admiration of his peers and fellow veterans, and his work has bettered the lives of many in Mason and the greater Cincinnati region. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Mason, Ohio, members elected thereto concurring. Section 1, Mason City Council commends Dr. Purcell Taylor and his post-military accomplishments that have led to his induction into the 2023 Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame. Section 2, that this resolution shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest period allowed by law.
All right, thank you, Jeff. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading, please.
Second?
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, I need a motion to adopt.
So moved?
Second?
Okay, any council discussion? Yes, Councilmember Grossman.
Dr. Purcell, I'm just so inspired by your story, and we're all inspired by your service. And I just want to thank you and thank God, too, for your protection and for putting a calling on your life that you are able to live out and have a remarkable, immeasurable impact on so many others. And we thank you for the impact that you have on us today. And again, just thank you so much. We're very, very proud of you.
Thank you.
I think we're all dying to get out of our seats and give you both a standing ovation.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Councilmember Hackey.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Likewise with you, Purcell. Same as with John. I'm beyond honored to be able to recognize you tonight here with my fellow council members. This is amazing. You've had a lifelong impact on a lot of people, and now you're doing it even further with your involvement in our Kiwanis Club. I'm like John. I'm blown away by you and all that you've accomplished. Thank you for your service, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Mayor,
Yes.
I just also wanted to say congratulations and thank you for your service and thank you for our commitment to our veterans and our community. What you do it means a lot to the community. It means a lot to our veterans. And you are also very well deserving of this award. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
Just briefly, Mayor, congratulations. It's you and John's hour to shine. You're being recognized by your community that understands the sacrifices you've made and the contributions you've also contributed over the years. Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, Purcell, again, this is just so awesome. I've loved getting to know you in Kiwanis. I think we just met maybe a little over a year ago, actually, and I love hearing all the accomplishments that you have achieved, especially your work with the Veterans Court. I think a lot of people don't realize what that's all about, but sometime we'll have to talk about that a little bit more, but that is such an important part of going back and helping fellow veterans. So I just think that you're such a dignified person, and I just respect you so much, and I just appreciate the service that you gave to our country. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and I guess with that, Eric, did you have anything else? If not, have roll call.
Maybe you should vote first, and then I have a little something else.
Oh, okay, all right, well, let's have roll call then.
Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn.
Yes.
Okay,
In honor of Dr. Taylor as well as John, I saw John over here checking out the gifts here. So I thought I'd better explain them. On behalf of the community and to acknowledge both of their accomplishments, we have a resolution as well as a brick that will go recognizing their accomplishment in the Veterans Hall of Fame that we will place in the memorial this November. We have some treats, some brownies from Dorothy Lane Market. We also have a flag that earlier today was flown over the Mason Veterans Memorial and put in a flag box here for each of them. I also believe there's some police officers here that have volunteered to help you carry this stuff out to your car. Can we get a photo first? Yes, at first we'd like to ask if all of council and John and Dr. Taylor could come up to the front here for a group photo.
okay, and I also see one of our council members who's joining us late. Please come on in so you can join us for the photo. Congratulations again, John and Purcell. You've made this community very, very proud. Okay, Eric, do you have any more in your report? Or?
That's the best way to end a manager's report right there.
Okay, so I think we are on to item 7. Is that correct? Mason Mile update. Do we have someone here from the CDC to Casey Richards? Okay.
Hello and good evening, Mayor, members of council, and staff. My name is Casey Richards, and I live at 216 Short Street. I'm a board member of the Made Community Development Corporation and also an active volunteer within the Mason Mile Core team. I'm here this evening to share some exciting updates on the Mason Mile project. The Mason Mile project is a community-led, market-driven project. We are honoring our history while building into the future a fresh, healthy, and sustainable place for people to live, work, and play. The Mason Mile project has a core team of volunteers that consists of David Charpentier, Annie Droege, Chris Heim, and myself, and administrative staff that includes Sherry Taylor and Sydney Hayes. The consulting team consists of Randall Gross from Randall Gross Development Economics, Jay Becker from BLDG Brands, and Keith Covington from Common Ground Urban Design and Planning. Just as a reminder to all of council and the community at large, the presentation that was given by the consulting team in August, as well as all the public input from the community, are all available at makethemile.com. So we encourage everyone to please go and check that out. We appreciate the patience of the community as the consultants do the very important work of compiling all of the findings and input into a final strategic report that is currently being drafted. They have advised us that this part of the process can feel long, as there aren't many opportunities for engagement of the public. So we want to thank all of you again for your patience and understanding. We have received part 1 of the report, and there are 2 parts of the final report with the revised schedule, and we expect to receive that second part of the draft report by October 23rd. The report will have several components included, and we're excited to share the outline tonight with all of you. Part 1 of the report will focus on the existing conditions and the analysis work. The components of Part 1 will include previous planning efforts and community objectives, the physical context, which includes area, land use, urban design, infrastructure, the planning and regulatory context, the economic context, the Mason economic and demographic base and trends, a site analysis, building use and economic activity, the marketing context, and market potentials that will include findings from the office, residential, and retail market analysis that was completed. The second part of the report will include the strategic plan and those strategic recommendations for next steps to keep our efforts moving forward. The components of the second part of the report include the community engagement efforts, our development and revitalization concepts, the brand and marketing concepts, and implementation strategies for marketing, planning and development, regulatory policies, development phasing, and last but not least, master planning, and that includes the traffic, parking, infrastructure, things of that nature. And then the 3 other things that are included in Part 2 is the financing and the leveraging of finances, the management and overall organization and roles. So if anyone has any questions on the project, we encourage you to please contact us directly, and we can be reached at connect@madecdc.org or by phone, and that phone number would be 513-336-0125. Again, we just wanted to thank everyone for all of your involvement, and we can't do it without all of you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Casey. It sounds like you're making some exciting progress. Thank you so much. Okay, item 8, recognition of visitors. We allow visitors to come up and address us. Our council rules allow you 5 minutes, so if anyone would like to come to the podium right now and just state your name and your address, and we would be glad to
Hi.
hear you. Yes.
Sonia Milrod, 4270 Fontenay, Mason. And as many of you know, the Heritage Festival this year was held on Rosh Hashanah. In some ways, it seems a very small thing right now, given the horrific events happening in Israel as we speak. But on the other hand, it is relevant. So first of all, I want to thank Barb Spaeth. When I realized the date, I knew there was nothing that could be done for this year, but I texted or messaged, instant message, Facebook message Barb, and I think within minutes at 9 o'clock at night, I asked her, who would I speak to about this? And she said, I'll get back with you. The next morning at 8 o'clock, she already had an answer, Eric, who I thought it might be. And then I called Eric's office, and immediately, he got back to me. I can't thank you enough for the responsiveness. And then Eric agreed to meet with me and a representative from the Jewish community, Rabbi John. But before we had that meeting, by that time of that meeting, through interaction on Facebook about the Heritage Festival, I realized the issue went way beyond scheduling that festival on one of the holiest days of the year. In fact, some of the members of that Facebook discussion are going to be speaking here tonight as well. We are so fortunate to live in the USA, where diverse cultures, ethnicities, and religions can thrive and work together in peace. And our wonderful community of Mason is a prime example. I mean, way back in history, Mason wasn't known for that. I mean, we had the Klan here. We've come a very, very long way. But as the diversity of the community grows, it becomes even more important than ever to develop ways to learn about, recognize, and honor the diverse customs, celebration, and needs of our various communities within Mason. So a number of us have come here today to present some ideas that we hope Mason City Council will consider. First, I'd like to thank the council for some steps they've already taken to make our community more inclusive and safe for the people who live here. First, eliminating the religious prayer at the start of the meeting. Certainly there's room for prayer in public spaces, but as we know, the prayer that started this council meeting over several years got to be so sectarian that it verged on political expression and certainly excluded large swaths of the non-Christian community of Mason. So I truly thank you for that move. Second, supporting the wonderful Bollywood to Hollywood concert, which exposed so many citizens in Mason to the wonderful musical traditions of India for the first time. And then recognition months, like one we'll hear about later today of the Indian community. But here's some other suggestions, and one of which I'd shared with Eric. There's so many different events, and so many religious holidays that can come into conflict, and no one person can be aware of this. So an idea that came to my mind, there used to be, well, we eliminated, rightfully, the printed calendar for Mason, and so I thought perhaps a community calendar could be established instead, a calendar that would catalog or record the various religious and cultural celebrations, heritage months, etc. And that the community, so that the council, the community center, and the whole community could be aware of these things. And that could enable really good messaging to come forward. For example, one of the things that happened on Facebook, Aftab Pureval, mayor of Cincinnati, wished the Jewish community Happy New Year. I know he's also done the same for the Lunar New Year. It'd be wonderful if City Council could set forth expressions like that in announcements in the community publications, both digital and the ones we get in print. If there's a calendar and there's information about these various events and cultural celebrations, then those can be mentioned. I know for me, the way I've learned about things that I had never known about has been through Facebook, where my Indian friends have talked about Ganesh. I'd never heard about that and explained what that is to me. Or Diwali, or Eid. I didn't know about these festivals and what they meant until they explained. And a community calendar could do such a thing. How could this calendar be put together? And what could it be used for? I've mentioned some things, and I'm going to call up my friend here, Kyra Fuster, next, who's going to be talking about maybe a cultural affairs committee or a liaison who could help put those things together. And then Manisha Godbole will talk about another idea for celebrating the diversity of Mason. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Good evening, council.
Could you please state your name
Oh,
and
yes.
address? Yeah,
I'm sorry.
thank you.
Yeah, my name is Kaira Fuster. I live in 213 Lakeview Drive. And I just want to say good evening, council and administrative team, residents, friends, and neighbors. When asked about what they enjoy most about the city of Mason, council members at last week's candidate forum repeatedly expressed how Mason has a small town feel, that it is a friendly place where everyone knows each other. It was bittersweet listening to those words because if the city administration truly knew its neighbors, it would do more to be truly inclusive. This year's Mason Heritage Festival was scheduled the same day as Rosh Hashanah, which meant that our Jewish neighbors were not able to attend the event. That same day was the first day of Hispanic Heritage Month, but Mason City Council has yet to acknowledge the contributions of the Hispanic and Latino community. Many of us ask ourselves, which heritage are we celebrating? Isn't Mason home of so many heritages, not just one? Mason is not a small town. It is a city of almost 36,000 people, according to the U.S. Census. About 25% of the population of Mason, 1 in every 4 people, belong to an ethnicity other than Anglo-American. This is very much evident in the diversity of services provided and scheduled activities that take place in Mason City schools. Yet, when we go to the city's calendar on the Imagine Mason website, there is a lack of acknowledgement of the peoples and cultures that call Mason home. While our school district is working hard to reach out to everyone, the city of Mason is not doing enough to include all residents in its agenda and events. A possible solution to this problem would be implementing the role of a cultural liaison. This role would be in charge of connecting with the many cultural, ethnic, language, and religious communities that call Mason home. Approximately 9,000 residents. And incorporating events relevant to these communities into the city calendar. This role would also engage with these residents to coordinate their participation in city events. Officially recognized in the city of Mason as a multicultural and multilingual city is long overdue. As for all residents in Mason should be able to experience that same small town feel the council members spoke about last week. We owe it to all our brothers and sisters to be truly welcoming and hospitable. And I would like to introduce my friend Manisha. She will speak next about her experience and her ideas to expand on this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council. I haven't written down anything, but I'm just going to make few suggestions. My name is Manisha Godbole, and I live on Spalding Drive in Mason. So first of all, I know there is an agenda item about recognizing Hindu Heritage, October as Hindu Heritage Month in Mason. So thank you for that, and very appreciative of everything that's been done for past 2 years for recognizing that Hindu Heritage Month. But as my friends Sonia and Kara mentioned, there are so many other heritages and so many other diversity in Mason. I believe in Mason City School there are 76 languages spoken. So when we look at all these things, when you just look at on our street, our neighbors, everybody is different. Everybody has different stories. Everybody comes from different heritages. The most predominant festival that's celebrated in like when we see all the decorations is Christmas. But everybody has celebrations that they do throughout the year. I see that pergola here in downtown Mason that's usually decorated during Christmas. So the only suggestion I had was, what if, as Kara mentioned, if there is a cultural liaison or even the cultural committee, and even after that calendar, we just pick out few festivals from all different heritages and different cultures, and just maybe make an announcement, like Happy Diwali or Eid Mubarak or something, or a Happy Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year, or something like that over there, and decorate that pergola all throughout the year. So that would just make everybody feel very welcome. It will be just a good gesture from the city council towards all their residents, and would just feel really good about it. I mean, after all, Mason is like nominated as 4th best city to live in, and also it is one of the most, the whole entire Southwest Ohio is actually one of the growing population of even AAPI, Asian American and Pacific Islander, in entire United States. So mostly in Ohio, actually, definitely for sure, I know that. So there are so many different industries over here and the great schools that make us all come here. So if we just can celebrate everybody together, it would be just wonderful. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hello, my name is Hong Mei Li, and I live at 6616 Heritage Club Drive. I'm so happy really to be here. I moved to Mason in 2016, and I proudly call Mason my home. So I strongly believe that Mason is a wonderful city that has done a lot. But on the other hand, and that's why Mason is so attractive to diverse group of people. I strongly support the ideas that were expressed by several folks before me, and diversity is a strong point here, and not only because we have a diverse population in Mason, but also because a diversity actually enriches our thinking and our own a cultural our own culture in this area. So I support the idea of forming a cultural council, and also to have a cultural liaison that collects information about different communities. And I also think it's a wonderful idea to have a calendar that really that includes different groups, festivals, and events, as well as celebrations. I think that will really be a great gesture that shows that we welcome everyone. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. I know our city manager's over here hurriedly writing down notes. He's taking down everything you're saying. Did you have something to say, Eric?
Yeah, if you'll allow me, just
Okay.
one item. And Ms. Milrod came from our conversation, and I almost did what we promised. The notion of a calendar did resonate with staff, because we are no longer doing the print calendar. And I did look at the model now. It is up, and I'm not sure running, but a couple more tweaks. I think the attorneys need to put some disclaimers or something in there. But once we get that, there's the notion of kind of a self-regulating calendar, where instead of the city trying to determine what holidays or what cultural celebrations are out there, to allow the public to register, place a calendar on there, make it available to all the community. Because I think the one thing we learned from our discussion as far as Heritage Festival, sometimes those things can't be changed, or that you work with a lot of boundaries there, but awareness certainly makes all of us more sensitive to what the conflicts could be, and maybe how we handle those better. That notion of a calendar open to all the community to kind of put all that information in there, we hope is at least one initial step to do that. So it is up, and hopefully we can go public maybe later this week, by the end of this month, within 2 weeks. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Is there anyone else like to come to the podium? Yes, please come to the podium and state your name and address.
Thank you. Hello, council members, and thank you for this opportunity. I am Lori Shue-Trump. I live at 5347 Wheatmore Court. I understand there'll be an ordinance presented to council tonight regarding the Gould property. I'm asking for your support of the plan and to move forward with the property becoming a park in line with Eleanor Gould and the Everbeck family's vision for the land. First, I want to apologize if I have come across as a bully or divisive to you on this important issue. That's not who I am, and I'm extending an olive branch as a peacemaker and a collaborator on doing what is in the best interest of our residents and the great city of Mason. I've worked in the health and wellness industry for 36 years, and research supports green space in communities. Studies show a positive link between green space and mental health, be it access to or a view of nature or green social prescribing. All of it encourages active behaviors, social interaction, increased self-esteem, while decreasing depression, anxiety, loneliness, stress, and anger. Nature-based solutions result in positive mental health outcomes, which is needed now more than ever, considering the mental health crisis in every community throughout our country. Actually, nature was God's first word. Other than people and God, trees are the most mentioned living thing in the Bible. From the beginning of the Bible to the end and countless books in between, nature has been and will continue to be where God meets humanity. Green space is sacred space. For those on council who consider faith and family a priority, you will understand the need to preserve the Gould property out of respect to God's creation and the family who worked it for generations, and for individuals, couples, and families to enjoy the land as a park. It has been said by some council members that two statements mentioned in previous meetings had the most impact on your opinion about the development of and on Gould property. One, the safety of children regarding traffic, and the other were homeowners who purchased their homes with the knowledge of that space being a park and its value on their own property. Let me ask, where are children safer, living by and playing in a park or in the parking lot of a shopping center? I've spoken with many residents whose backyards connect with the Gould property, and each of them were told it will be a park and all want it to be such. One of those houses just sold on our street and advertised on the yard sign, a wooded view. And in the description of the home, quote, wooded yard backs up to protected acreage. Do you think they will be happy if their $500,000 investment with a wooded view becomes a view of the back of a retail shopping center? Or the protected acreage isn't really protected? What will it take to ensure those 50 acres will be protected for all the residents who invested in the properties with the plan for a park on that land? Those working to develop Mason have also spoken of honoring its history. That history includes farms, trees, green space, and family. Council sets the priorities of the city. I'm asking that you not stonewall this ordinance and to move forward with including first steps in the 2024 budget. There's money available. We see it by the funds that are other requested projects, and they get approved. You've brought this to the people, and you've heard a resounding response for it to be a leisure park. You can be that city council who brings this park to life. Let that be your legacy. Those 50 acres of green space on Gould property could be, as Chris has stated, those could be to Mason what Central Park is to New York City. We are all neighbors. We're all neighbors. You and I are neighbors. Everyone in this room and everyone watching TV are all neighbors. Let's live like neighbors. I thank you for the commitment to your fellow neighbors and every resident in Mason.
Okay, thank you so much. Anyone else want to come to the podium now and address council?
Greetings, Mayor, members of council, city staff, and members of the Mason community. My name is Shar Pelfrey, 5499 Mason Road, and I am also speaking regarding Ordinance 2023-88. As a quick point of reference, I've served on Mason Council for 16 years. I'm the former mayor, one of the former mayors. I was also on council in 2003 when the 50-acre Gould Park, located straight down Main Street heading west, was purchased from Eleanor Gould. And I was also on the park board when the 2004 Mason Park Master Plan was created, defining potential elements of Gould Park. I abstained from council's otherwise unanimous vote because personally, my family and I were Richard and Eleanor's closest neighbors. She was a very dear friend of mine. Eleanor and Richard had no children. Their love was their land. Richard spent most of his time on his tractor every season of the year. Eleanor was an avid horticulturist, a gentle, kind, generous woman. Eleanor was determined to see the family's historical land protected and placed restrictions when it was purchased by the city to ensure that it remained forever as usable green space that would enable her neighbors and guests to enjoy it as it should be. Passive in nature, yet flourishing in energy and excitement and diverse, vibrant activities. Fast forward, the land has been leased out as farmland till this year. The 50 contiguous neighbors and hundreds of surrounding homes have enjoyed watching the land change each season for 20 years. All of us purchased our property knowing the contract that protected us. We were knocked out of our happy place last year when council identified Gould Park for a development site differing from the deed restrictions. And during that time, the neighbors got wind of it and adamantly, as is our right and responsibility, let council know of their disapproval. And we appreciated so much that this council took it off the table. And we appreciate that and want to thank you. Eleanor's oldest nephew, heir, and trustee for the Gould property assets, Mr. Larry Averbeck, and members of the family have been active and supportive in this since this last year, most especially, and have clarified Eleanor's intended meaning of the contract. The Gould Park Committee was formed as contiguous neighbors to Gould Park, working with Larry Averbeck. Our interests and actions are peaceable, but we are quite determined to see this through and in the very next few years. I retired from council hoping to stay casually involved in my city, but this matter has become very important to me. Larry Averbeck, living out of town, asked me to be the Gould Averbeck family representative, and I honor that intention from him, and I plan to see it through for him, for Mrs. Gould, for my family, my neighbors, for downtown, all things that I personally love. So Eleanor would have turned 100 years old this year on December the 12th, and her family is requesting a city acknowledgement of her life as a Mason visionary and a commitment from council to see this through. Mason Mile struggles, we support it, but it will struggle as older initiatives did with several things. A 2-lane road down the middle of downtown, and diverse property owners who have various opinions on land use, but most importantly, downtown will struggle because of other options for shopping. Liberty Mall, Deerfield Township, the upcoming Dorothy Lane project on Western Row, etc. Other communities would treasure what Mason's downtown could have in just a few years. A passive, inclusive park filled with exciting elements that encourage health, culture, history, student involvement in an environmentally friendly atmosphere while enabling thousands of people access to walk or ride their bike, patronizing downtown businesses while eliminating traffic congestion. Win-win. This ordinance is a starting place, an assurance to the Gould family, to the hundreds of neighbors, to the entire city of Mason that council is invested in developing the land per the contract, enhancing property values, quality of life, preserving green space while giving downtown the boost it needs to move forward. The Gould Park Committee supports the Mason Mile Initiative because we are your closest neighbors and your patrons. We want Mason Mile to succeed. We are asking you to support us as well, your closest and best patrons, your neighbors. So we have created a website. It's called buildgouldpark.com. If you want to write that down, buildgouldpark.com. Very easy to remember. Our website is factual, not personal. All the documents that we have referenced are on that website, and we also have an element for you to sign up for our emails that are related to Gould Park, and we encourage you to visit that site. It's exciting. So we have members of the Gould Park Committee within this room this evening, and we just would like to say, Council, we are asking you to take this on. We are not saying build it next year, but we're saying please commit to building it. Work with us. Slowly make a plan, put the finances in the next year or two, and let's see this thing through. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else would like to come to the podium and address council? Okay. Oh, no. Okay. Okay, we're going to go on to, we've already finished items 9 and 10. We'll go on to item number 11, which is resolution 2023-26, and I'm going to ask Jeff to please read this.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution 2023-26, commemorating Mason High School's first football coach, Tom Lichtenberg. Whereas the Mason High School football program dates back over 60 years. Players and coaches are part of the legacy known as the Long Green Line, a tradition that began with Coach Tom Lichtenberg, the first football coach for Mason High School. And whereas, as Mason's first football coach, Tom Lichtenberg built a winning tradition, taking a group of young boys who knew nothing about football and turned Mason into the name other teams had to beat if they wanted to make it to the championships. And whereas, while Tom Lichtenberg was coach, the team won 3 championships in their first 5 seasons and never finished below second, paving the way and building the foundation for the future success of Mason athletics, a winning path that can still be seen today. And whereas Coach Lichtenberg demonstrated discipline and is an example on how to be a faithful, humble, and true family man, providing an excellent role model to those he coached and those who surrounded him throughout his life. And whereas Tom Lichtenberg left a lasting impression and tradition of excellence, not only on the players that he coached, but also on the entirety of the Mason football program and the Mason community, leaving a legacy that should now and forever be memorialized in the city of Mason. And whereas Tom Lichtenberg's contribution to the Mason football program has created a legacy for strengthening community spirit and pride and provided an opportunity for growing skills and athletic abilities for young boys that continues to flourish within the football program today and aligns with Mason's mission for a culture of wellness. And whereas a group of alumni from the early days of the Mason football program has organized a fund to create for permanent display at Beacon Tri-Health Stadium's Dwyer Field a memorial plaque commemorating the legacy of Mason High School's first football coach, Tom Lichtenberg, with any leftover funds going towards Mason High School's Ken Reed Athletic Scholarship Fund. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Mason, Ohio, members elected thereto concurring, Section 1, that the Council of the City of Mason hereby designates and proclaims October 20th, 2023 as Tom Lichtenberg Day in the City of Mason. Section 2, that this resolution shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest period allowed by law.
All right, thank you, Jeff. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? A motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, any council discussion? Yes.
Well, I'm just curious. Show of hands, who's had a kiddo in the Long Green Line in this room? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, probably more than one kiddo, 5. I've had a kiddo too, and he has my genetics, so he didn't play a lot, but he didn't care because he loved hanging out with the guys and being a part of the team and the workouts. And one summer he got in trouble and I wouldn't let him get his driver's license in the summer. And as soon as I said it, I remembered that there were 6 a.m. practices every day. So we both got grounded that summer. But anyway, I just want to thank you for, again, we've been talking a lot about immeasurable impacts on students' lives and your colleagues, and we just thank you so much for all you've done. And what a great tradition we have, Friday Night Lights, all because of you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, in just a minute, we have Mike O'Brien who's going to come up and talk a little bit about, whoever is going to, okay, well, someone from this front row. In just a second, hold on, just a second. But there's some other events going on in regard to the recognition for Coach Lichtenberg. But I did want to ask this question real quick. What was the year of the first team? It was 1962. So I always love to tell everybody how old I am. I was 2 years old. Okay, so so I don't really remember the first game, but I used to get drugged to those games for sure later on in my years because one of my brothers used to play on the football team. So we're real excited that we can honor Coach Lichtenberg and that you guys all did this. And you're going to talk about it in just a minute, but let me get through the formalities first, okay? Is there anybody else that wanted to say anything? Okay. I'm going to ask for the roll call then.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. If you would please identify yourself.
Sure.
First. Okay.
My name's Bruce Crutcher. I didn't play on the first team as John did. I came a couple of years behind him, but I'm familiar with Mike fumbling the ball instead of coming up here. So we recognize the gravity of this does not carry as the significance of Dr. Taylor and Mr. Looker or the cultural diversity that people are encouraging in Mason. But we do thank the city and the council for their interest in what we think is part of a meaningful history for young men, particularly in Mason. And Coach Lichtenberg distinguished himself, I think, in the context of the rest of his career, where he coached at Notre Dame, Ohio State, was head coach at OU in Maine, Iowa State, and so he was 23 years old, I think, when hired, and when I was 14 years old, I always thought it was a bad idea to get 10 yards away from somebody and run into him, but he convinced us it was probably a good idea if we were going to win any football games. So he had a big impact on all of us. It was alumni and former players and community members who remembered the impact and the enthusiasm that Tom brought. Now, when I come to games, it's obvious to me that most Friday nights there are more people at the football game than lived in town when we played. But the growth of the community and the significance, and I know Coach Kastner, the coach now, is fully adopted Coach Lichtenberg's plan for the young men and how to develop them as not only good players, but good people. So we thank you for your interest.
Thank you so much. I think we have something for you guys here.
I think John, as member of the first team, should come up and accept it.
We have the resolution. Did we want to do a picture? Okay. Get all the council up there. I'd like to have all of you guys that are you're all on the committee, right? And
One final mention for the community is the ceremony for displaying the plaque will take place at 5:45 right on the veranda as you walk through from the north end zone in the parking lot. And at that point in time, we're hoping to have the mayor say a few words. Tom Tuccia, who is the designer and artist for this. He's the one also who has done the sculptures down at the Cincinnati Reds baseball field, and now has the gig of doing the Baseball Hall of Fame plaques every year, which I saw in Cooperstown this summer with my grandson, which was fun. And so we asked all the community to join us, and that celebration will start at 5:45. Thank you.
all right, great.
On the 20th, a week from Friday.
Okay. Thank you so much. Looking forward to that. And congratulations. Okay, we're going to go on to item number 12, Resolution 2023-27. I'm going to ask Jeff to read this one also, please.
Thank you. Mayor, Resolution 2023-27, recognizing October as Hindu Heritage Month in Mason. Whereas Hinduism is the third largest religion in the world with more than 1 billion followers worldwide, 6 million in the United States and 11,000 in Ohio, And whereas during the month of October, the culture, history, traditions, achievements, and contributions of Hindus are recognized and celebrated throughout the United States. And whereas American Hindus have made numerous positive contributions in all aspects of society, from science to business to politics to spirituality. And whereas Ohio's vibrant American Hindu community has contributed tremendously to the vitality of the state and enriched the lives of its citizens. And whereas Hindus strive to achieve Dharma, which is a code of living that emphasizes good conduct and morality. And whereas during October, the American Hindu community will collectively celebrate its heritage by focusing on its culture and the diverse spiritual traditions. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Mason, Ohio, members elected thereto concurring, Section 1, that the Council of the City of Mason hereby recognizes October as Hindu Heritage Month in Mason. Section 2, that this resolution shall take effect and be enforced from and after the earliest period allowed by law.
All right, thank you, Jeff. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? A motion to adopt?
So moved.
Okay, any council discussion?
Mayor,
Yes.
I was going to present this during Old and New, but I think this is a more appropriate time. Last weekend, I got to represent the city at the, and I'm going to butcher the name of this, Katanoki School of Dance, I believe is what it is. And Nicole and I got to attend their 20th anniversary celebration of dance and the storytelling. Kata, I believe, is how it's pronounced. And just what a fascinating celebration of the Indian, North Indian especially, as far as the dance was concerned, but just the cultural diversity. And I know we've got some discussions on that, but it was just fascinating. It was a beautiful event. I was so honored to be able to be there. And I just want to thank everybody for the invite and just say I'm so happy that we've got a month dedicated to the Hindu culture.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have anything? Okay, I'm going to ask for a roll call, please.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Okay, and I think we might have some members of the Hindu community that were going to come up and speak. Did we have, or, if you would please come up to the podium.
Okay, it's me again. This is Manisha Godbole. I live on Spalding Drive in Mason. And thank you for recognizing October as Hindu Heritage Month here in Mason. This is the third year that is being recognized, and we really appreciate that. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about Hindus of America. As already mentioned that it's the Hindus in America are around 6 million or 2% of the population. And there are several million more Americans who have incorporated one or more Hindu practices in their daily lives. The earliest Hindu immigration to the US was recorded in 1600s, but Hindus started migrating in significant numbers since 1965 Immigration Act. The majority have immigrated from India, the rest from Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Indonesia, and the African continents, UK, Trinidad and Tobago, and Guyana. There are also some Hindus that came as refugees from Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bhutan. Now the second and third generations of American Hindus are carrying forward their parents' and grandparents' religion and cultural tradition of valuing education and hard work. They are working in every field like science, technology, engineering, medicine, business, education, law, journalism, politics, judiciary, armed forces, space exploration, etc. In every field, you'll find American Hindus excelling while striving to bring about equitable freedom, education, and social justice in our everyday lives. Hindus believe in truth is one and in oneness for all, represented by Sanskrit words Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. which literally means the whole world is one family. Therefore, we respect and accept all faiths and believe in living in harmony and mutual respect with people of different faiths. Hindus believe in ahimsa, that's nonviolence, towards all animate as well as inanimate. They have deep respect for knowledge and guru, that is teacher, as the transmitter of that knowledge. They strive for a close-knit and stable family system. They are law-abiding and peaceful. Hindus believe in selfless service of humanity, that is service without expectation of any reward or recognition. Hindutva is a perfect example of human rights, animal rights, environment protection, and sustainable and harmonious living. So we request you to join us in celebrating and recognizing October as Hindu Heritage Month this year as well as in the future. And in closing, I would just like to say, if there are any issues concerning Hindus arise, we would request the council to collaborate with us for resolution. And also, the history behind why October is Hindu Heritage Month is because we have several festivals typically aligning around this time frame. Hindu calendar is a lunar calendar, so most of the times they fall in October, but sometimes in November. So this year, Diwali is actually in November, from around 10th of November. And I would like to invite council and any citizens who are interested in learning about Diwali. We are going to have a celebration in Mason City schools on Wednesday, November 29th from 6 to 8:30. So anybody and everyone who is interested in learning more about Diwali is welcome to join us for celebrating Diwali. So thank you for everything you have been doing. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. You coming up? Okay, and I think we have something for you. Just one second. Don't be shy. Come forward.
Again, behalf of Hindu community here, we would like to really thank you for recognizing October as a Hindu Heritage Month. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. I think we'd like to get was someone else going to speak? I was going to say,
No.
I think we'd like to get a picture again. This is our night for pictures, and okay, thank you all again very much for coming tonight. We appreciate it. Okay, we are on to, let's see, item number 13, Resolution 2023-28. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Thank you, Mayor. Recognizing the week of October 8 through 14, 2023 as National Fire Prevention Week.
Okay, Jennifer?
Mayor, members of council, sorry about that. Annually, the city recognizes National Fire Prevention Week. Most people think that it's in memory of the Great Chicago Fire, which started on the night of October 8th. However, a little known fact that the Great Chicago Fire was not the biggest or the deadliest fires that week. In northern Wisconsin, a firestorm burned 12 communities, approximately 1.5 million acres, killing over 2,500 people. In memory of that, the National Fire Prevention annually observes Fire Prevention Week on October 8th through the 14th. This year's theme is Cooking Safety Starts With You. It's aimed at educating the public about simple but important actions they can take to keep themselves and those around them safe when cooking. The fire department this past weekend hosted an open house. Several of our Mason residents were able to attend that event. Upcoming activities include a smoke alarm blitz, which will occur on October 11th, 12th, and 13th, when members of the fire department will be visiting the neighborhoods of Mason Fields, Village Lakes, and Windermere subdivisions, checking fire smoke detectors for our homeowners out there. There's many simple things you can do to protect yourselves in case of fire. Plan your escape route, test your smoke alarms, choose outside meeting place for you and your family, and practice home fire drills. With that, Resolution 2023-28 is recommended for adoption. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, roll call.
Mayor Spade,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn,
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula.
Yes.
Okay, item 14, Resolution 2023-29. I need a motion to read by title only, please. All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Recognizing October as Mason Manufacturing and Makers Month.
Okay, Jennifer?
Yes, Mayor, members of council, the Manufacturer Institute since 2012 has launched Manufacturing Month as a way to motivate future generations to explore modern manufacturing as an occupation and build a foundation for a workforce for the future to fulfill the demand of over 4 million jobs by 2030. Manufacturing Month furthers Mason's talent initiatives and provides the city's corporate partners an opportunity to showcase progressive factories of the future. The city's economic development team uses this month to help educate not only our employers, but our students in the Mason schools and other school districts in the city to help them understand all the different companies that Mason has to offer and the difference that manufacturing is today versus how it was in the past. Resolution 2023-29 is recommended for adoption. I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn,
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula,
Yes.
Mayor Spade.
Yes. Item 15, ordinance 2023-79. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with KT Holden Construction in an amount not to exceed $587,126 for the David Lane Storm Sewer Improvements Project.
Okay, Kurt?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and members of council. This area at David Lane and Tacoma is an area that experiences frequent street flooding during heavy rain events. Back in 2022, towards the end of last year, we finished up a drainage study to take a look at what improvements might help out with that area. And then based on the study's recommendations, we proceeded with final design, and we had money in the budget this year to make those improvements. We got great bids. We put it out to bid on October 3rd. We got 10 bids for the project. KT Holden, as Jeff mentioned, was the low bidder at $587,000. We originally put $400,000 in the budget. However, during design, we found that there was more water line that needs to be relocated than we originally had thought. And that is based on some estimates. It may be less once we get into the actual construction, but this is what we hope is a worst-case scenario. The Finance Committee met on September 21st. We made them aware that we thought that the project would come in higher than what was budgeted. We recommend moving forward with the project, as does the Finance Committee, due to increasing anticipated costs. If we wait longer, it'll cost more to construct it next year. So with that, the ordinance for KT Holden Construction, ordinance 2379, is recommended for adoption. I'll answer any questions that you have.
All right, thanks, Kurt. Motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, any council discussion? Kurt, I just want to, you may have just mentioned it and I missed it again. When did you say the project will be started, just so the residents out there will have an idea?
Yeah, I don't think I mentioned it. We expect to start in the spring, and then our completion date is May of 2024, so it should be the first part of next year.
Okay.
Constructed.
And just the other thing that I think a lot of residents might be interested in is like, how does the city decide what project comes next? Because there's oftentimes a lot of things that are in line. So how do we come to the conclusion, like for instance, that David Lane Storm Sewer project got to completed?
Generally, we're made aware of flooding issues. In this case, there was some street flooding and also a garage. I believe there was a structure that had some flooding in it. And then we will take a look at that area. In this case, it was a situation where there was not enough catch basins, but when we added the catch basins into the model, it actually needed some pipe upsizing, which is why this project was generated. So a lot of times it's by members of the community letting us know about an issue, then we'll take a look and investigate it. We also have a ranking where we'll rank how many people are, like how many houses are impacted by a project, and so that if it's what we call a nuisance flooding type of a concern, where maybe you have a low spot in your yard, those are the lowest ranked projects because they really don't impact a structure. Structural flooding would be the highest. And then the street flooding, obviously, if it's going to deter emergency vehicles from getting to a residence in a heavy rainstorm, that's a highly ranked project as well. So we do have a ranking structure, cost, and then how many houses might potentially benefit from an improvement. So things like that are taken into consideration. Does that answer your?
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that, because I think a lot of times people get frustrated, and the thing that you said is key. Let the city know if there's a problem in your area around your home. But I want to also emphasize, it doesn't always mean that the city can fix it for you. I will just use an example of my home. I have a creek that's right by my house, and it was eroding into my home, and I had the city come out, and it didn't make any difference that I was on council. They told me it was my problem. It was on my personal property, and it actually cost us like $15,000 to get that creek to stop eroding into our house. So I just say all that because there are some things the city is responsible for. There's some that a homeowner is responsible for, but you got to let us know so we can come out and look at it. So I just want to emphasize that. Does anybody have anything else? Okay. I'm going to ask for a roll call, please.
Councilmember Bradburn? Yes. Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Item 16, ordinance 2023-80. I need a motion to read by title only.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
When opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Authorizing the city manager to execute an addendum to the contract with PCC Aerostructures Integration Center LLC and SPS Technologies LLC, and authorizing the city manager to make future amendments to the project timing requirements as determined necessary and reasonable.
All right, Eric?
Yes, Mayor, if I can, I'd like to address ordinance 2023-80 as well as 81. They are both related. There are 3 businesses, actually, that the city was able to recruit over $170 million in new investment on 3 parcels of city-owned property in the R&D park on 741 and 42. Those were announced in 2019. Significant investment in the community, significant payroll and opportunities for Mason residents for jobs. But later in 2019 and 2020, there was a global pandemic that interrupted several things. I know folks hate to hear that again, but it did interrupt both their decision timeframes as well as their ability to construct. All 3 of the businesses are related to the aerospace industry, which suffered other interruptions as a result of the pandemic. So they have had to adjust their timeframes for moving forward on those. And what these 2 ordinances do is allow the city to add additional time to the commitments they made for constructing and making that investment on city-owned property. I think those companies are Rheinstahl, PCC, and SPS. Rheinstahl has a current presence within the city of Mason, and both PCC and SPS have co-located initial operations, sharing facilities with another Mason employer, generating payroll and employment growth as they try to get back on their time frame and their trajectory for making those investments north of the city. By action on these 2 ordinances, City Council allows them to add additional time to comply with the terms of their initial investment. Both the Jobs Ohio as well as READY, the Regional Economic Development Initiative in Cincinnati, are recommending that the city take this action to retain these companies as well as retain the city's role as a leader in investment in the aerospace industry.
Okay, thank you, Eric. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second?
I'm sorry, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Is there any council discussion? Yes, Councilmember Bradburn.
Those 2 companies, Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, has recently realigned, so I do not believe they are currently under Berkshire Hathaway's umbrella.
Anyone else? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spade?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Okay, item 17, ordinance 2023-81. I need a motion to read by title only.
So moved?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Authorizing the city manager to execute an addendum to the contract with Morad One LLC and Rheinstahl Corporation, and authorizing the city manager to make future amendments to the project timing requirements as determined necessary and reasonable.
Okay, was there anything to add on that one, Eric, or you're good? Okay, motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Grossman? Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spade?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Okay, item 18, ordinance 2023-82. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a partnership agreement with the Mason Symphony Orchestra for performances in 2024 in an amount not to exceed $99,000.
Okay, Jennifer?
Yes, Mayor, members of council, for the past 2 years, the city has been experimenting with the development of partnerships to grow arts and culture in Mason. Throughout 2023, the city has worked with both the Mason Symphony Orchestra and the Southwest Ohio Symphony Orchestra to host several concerts for the Mason community. Through a partnership with the Mason Symphony Orchestra, the city was able to bring 3 concerts to the Mason community, one that was held in February, one that was held in May, and one that will be held on December 3rd as the holiday concert at Great Wolf Lodge. The MSO is a regional orchestra with a track record of collaborating with local arts organizations such as the Mason Chorale, local theater companies, dance studios, as well as art galleries. MSO has been hosting concerts at the Mason United Methodist Church. They're hosting a concert on October 26th, Peter and the Wolf. It is an inclusive concert tailored towards children and families and features local small business Antonio violins. In 2023, the goal of Mason's partnership with MSO was to expand the availability for these concerts to a larger audience, which ultimately meant securing a larger venue. MSO and the city were able to secure Great Wolf Lodge as the location for the concerts in 2023. Through a partnership with MSO and moving to a larger venue, the city has the opportunity to offer discounted tickets to the premier members of the community center as well as veterans. This provides an additional benefits to for the premier membership and helps promote the community center, strengthening our business model for the center. Working with the MSO and this model to provide cultural opportunities to the community has been productive. MSO has been easy to work with and providing much of the administrative work needed to host these types of events, eliminating significant city staff involvement. MSO has been a true partner of the city's participating in World Inclusion Day at McKeno Park and is scheduled to perform at the Veterans Memorial Rededication Ceremony on November 11th at no additional cost to the city. The concerts this past year have been well attended, and the city has received a number of compliments about the performances. MSO has approached the Arts and Culture Committee and asking if there's any interest to continue this partnership, pursuing concert for 2024, and if there was, that dates need to be set pretty soon in order to secure the venue for those concerts. The Arts and Culture Committee is recommending a partnership for 2024, and that would include 3 concerts, a February concert, which would be a pop-style concert, a May classical-style concert, and then a December pop-style holiday concert. May's classical style concert will be held at Mason High School Auditorium. While the other 2 concerts would be hosted at a large venue, MSO is still currently pursuing options for that venue. And MSO intends to continue to offer the children's concert in October as part of their performance in Mason. With that, ordinance 2023-82 is recommended for adoption. Happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, any council discussion?
Mayor,
Yes.
I would just like to say I'm the chair of the Arts and the Culture Committee, and we completely support this. We are starting to see a robust arts and culture community within Mason, which makes me really happy. The Mason Symphony Orchestra has been amazing. I've been to their concerts. I've received a lot of feedback from the community. I mean, how wonderful is it to just be able to go down the street here in Mason and have a professional orchestra performance versus going all the way down to Cincinnati. So I completely support this. It definitely improves our quality of life. It helps with economic development, which ultimately keeps our taxes down. So I will definitely be voting for this.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Councilmember Grossman, I'm sorry.
I, too, attended the concerts this year, most of them. I went to the 2 concerts at the Great Wolf Lodge, and hi, Dr. Genter, she's back there. And I really want to compliment and praise you for jobs well done. It was a monumental task to set up the infrastructure. She's waving back. And I loved that you tried some less traditional approaches to the second acts of your concerts. And it occurred to me that one thing that the orchestra might need is a little more in the budget for rehearsal because of the different style of music that they are endeavoring to master in such a short amount of time for the second half of the concerts. And the first halves are, I think, things that these musicians are so capable they can just cold read them, and it's a great experience. And they did a great job in the second half, so this is starting to sound funny. But what I mean to say is that the second acts are much appreciated because they are so different in style, and I really want to compliment you on the Bollywood show. It was well attended, and some suggestions I would have is to do it again and make sure that it becomes an annual tradition, because the audience loved it. It was really fun for me, having never been to India, but I do love Bollywood films and Bollywood music. So I really learned a lot and enjoyed it very much, but the audience was captivated and very engaged. I sat close to an elderly man who was practically in tears, and he knew every word and sang along robustly. And I also sat behind children who had fallen asleep by that time because they couldn't stay up that late. So another suggestion I have is to make it the first act, if you can, or make it the whole show at some point. So it sounds like you guys have an idea for next year, but in honor of the commentary we heard tonight, I would highly recommend that you do it again, and that the committee would look at perhaps, if Dr. Ginter thinks she needs it, maybe adding in some additional padding for extra rehearsal time, just so that they can really have the time that they need, because that would be very challenging. I know, I'm a music person, so I realize that must have been a little stressful to put together, but the quality of the performances were just excellent, and I think the community really enjoyed it. I know I did, and my friends did that came with me. So thank you, Dr. Ginter, and I'm happy to support this ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Mayor?
Yes.
Thanks. I just had a couple of questions. I noticed that the increase in cost, we're still doing 3 concerts, which is what we did last year. Is that correct? And the increase in cost is just for the venue for Great Wolf Lodge? Is that what I'm reading?
That's correct.
Okay. So just to, sorry, no, go ahead.
Yep, that's our understanding. It's increased cost because of Great Wolf Lodge, but they also indicated that they are going to be looking at other venues and trying to find ways to control those costs.
Okay. And I appreciate the comments from the other council members. Unfortunately, due to scheduling and younger kids and their schedules, I was unable to make any of them. So I'm so sorry about that, and wish I could have, because I love the idea. I love it being here. I think it's really neat. But hearing that there's positive turnout, that's high quality performances, I'd love to see it continue as well. So thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Councilmember Hack.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, I just want to go on record as saying I think this is such a great program. You know, we had, and I hate to bring this up, we had your competitor, I guess we'll call them, or maybe colleagues, Southwest Ohio Philharmonic, do a program a couple weeks ago, and it was fabulous, and it adds to the culture. But the work that you guys have done, as was mentioned with the diverse programming and everything else, we're just honored to have you doing what you're doing, and I'm very, very excited to support this. Thank you.
Are you coming forward because you would like to speak? Okay, that's fine. I did want to ask you, and I want you to mention again the dates of the next.
Yes, thank you. Lucy Ginther, Mason Symphony Orchestra. We live on 4305 Townside Court in Mason. And now you've done it, you've made me talk. And I do want to clear up the one date, October 22nd is our family and sensory-friendly concert in collaboration with the Royal Theater. Karen Kilgore has tirelessly built this community cultural asset. And of course, this is our mission, and we are so grateful to the City Council for your support of our mission of building this cultural asset and our educational and entertainment outreach. And I would like to say thank you so much for the shout out about our Broadway to Bollywood. You might remember that the year before, we had both of these concerts started, the original seed was a party for my Indian friends, and the year before for the Hispanic and Brazilian community in our area. In this February, we have the Chinese New Year nod. We're doing the Butterfly Concerto performed by Kiwi Tan. Dr. Tan teaches at Ohio State. She's beautiful performer, Chinese, and then we have to, have Jimmy Buffett, Margaritaville after. So I don't know which should be which half of the concert, but it's going to be a ton of fun. And I just wanted to say that I'm so grateful to the City Council for your support of the growth of the arts community, which
builds our quality of life, and it's documented how the building of an arts community contributes to the energy and the vitality and also the economic development of an area. And so, and your responsiveness to us, and you're responsive to the community at large and our concerns, and is fantastic. And I just, okay, I'll stop now.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did anyone else have anything else they want to mention? Okay. I'm going to ask for a roll call then.
Councilmember Stricula,
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn,
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman.
Yes.
Okay, item 19, ordinance 2023-83. I need a motion to read by title only.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Jack Dehaney Companies, Inc. for the purchase of one 2024 Vector combination sewer cleaning vac truck with Trail Beast easement attachment in the amount of $593,941.
Okay, Kurt?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and members of council. This is just about as exciting as some orchestra performances, but maybe not for everybody else. We do rely on our fleet equipment to deliver a lot of the services that the city provides to our residents. Historically, we'd bring these types of ordinances. We try to bring them at the beginning of the year. However, there's a couple more pressing items that we thought we'd bring to council. One is the police cruisers, and the second is the vac truck, as Jeff mentioned. So I'd like to talk about the next three ordinances altogether. The first is with the vac truck. This is currently we have 2 vac trucks in our fleet, and those are used just about on a daily basis for both storm and sanitary sewers. This proposal is to replace our 2004 vac truck. It's got a failing vacuum system. The collection tank is severely corroded. We got pricing last year to replace it, and it was over $185,000. So this recommendation is a new machine with an easement machine attachment, and that allows us to get in backyards and hard-to-reach areas with this equipment. And the reason that we're bringing this forward is there's a 7% increase proposed in 2024, so that would save us over $40,000 by proceeding with this now, although we don't anticipate receiving this equipment until 2025. The next 2 ordinances are related to police cruisers. With the current supply chain issues and as you all know, the strikes that are going on, this is an extremely volatile time for police cruisers. The first ordinance, 2023-84, authorizes a purchase of 4 Chevy police cruisers and declares an emergency. This would allow us to place an order when the order bank opens. We thought the order bank was going to open in the next couple weeks, and as of yesterday, heard that it potentially could be delayed, or I'm sorry, late last week, it could be delayed. But we'd still like to get that authorized so that we're in a good position to place an order as soon as it opens. That ordinance is for $240,000. We don't have pricing until the order bank opens, so we just need to be ready. And we don't expect them to exceed $60,000 per vehicle, so that ordinance is for $240,000. The next ordinance is for additional police cruisers from an alternate vendor. This, again, is for $60,000 per vehicle for 4 vehicles. We assumed this would be a Ford vehicle, but again, that's uncertain. They actually canceled the 2024 model year for police interceptor vehicles, which means to fill the orders that they have now, they're just skipping a year to try to get those orders filled. So again, if the opportunity arises, we want to be ready with an ordinance to go ahead and purchase those 4 additional vehicles when the opportunity arises. We do still anticipate legislation early next year for the rest of our fleet purchases. We're getting pricing and working on that stuff already. We would have, if these all pass, we would still have a remaining balance of almost $1.4 million in our contingency fund for the fleet that will carry over into 2024. The vac truck would be purchased out of the capital funds that are set aside from the sewer utility fund. With that, the Finance Committee did discuss these also at the meeting and recommend adoption of ordinances 2023, 83, 84, and 85. And I'll answer any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Spaeth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn, Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula.
Yes.
All right, item 20, ordinance 2023-84, a motion to read by title only.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with McCluskey Chevrolet for the purchase of 4 Chevy police cruisers and declaring an emergency.
Okay, and Kurt's already discussed this, so I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Any council discussion? Okay, roll call.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn, Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula,
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth.
Yes. Item 21, ordinance 2023-85. I need a motion to read by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with an alternate vendor for the purchase of 4 additional police cruisers.
Okay, again, Kurt's discussed this one, so I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second?
Any council discussion?
Mayor?
Yes.
I will be, I do support it, however, I will be abstaining because I think that potentially be paid for the public.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bradburn, Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula,
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance item 22, ordinance 2023-86. I need a motion to read by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Brightview Landscapes LLC in the amount of $875,000 for the 2024 mowing, landscaping, and irrigation maintenance, Contract A.
All right, Kurt?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and members of council. Contract A is the city streets and right-of-way. It's our largest contract of the 4. We put this out to bid last year, and we only got 1 qualified bidder. We got a couple of bids, but only 1 qualified bidder. It came in at $991 last year with a 15% increase proposed. It was a 5-year contract, so for 2024, if we were to renew it, it would be a 15% increase. So at the time, we anticipated some increase in pricing, but we thought that was higher than expected, so we rebid it this year. We broke it up into 2 smaller pieces. We called it A1 and A2 in an effort to try to get additional bidders to come to the table. We succeeded in that. We got 3 qualified bids this year, and the recommendation is to go with the base bid, which is Contract A altogether. And that's with the same contractor that has the contract now. They're very familiar with it. This, again, has 4 annual renewals, and it does represent a cost savings of over $250,000, $270,000 versus extending the current contract for next year. And over the life of the contract, it'll be over $1 million in savings. So with that, we recommend adoption of Ordinance 2023-86. Awarding the contract to Brightview Landscaping. If you have any questions, I'll answer them.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spade?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Okay, item 23, ordinance 2023-87. I need a motion to read by title only.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, Jeff?
Declaring certain city equipment and property as surplus property and authorizing the city manager to dispose of said equipment and property.
Okay, Jennifer?
Yes, Mayor, members of council, the city periodically disposes of surplus property. This is equipment and vehicles that no longer have a useful life in delivering public service. It could also be unclaimed or forfeited property acquired through police activity. This property has very little value, if any, but in order to discard it, donate it, salvage it, or trade it in, the city council must pass legislative action that authorizes it as surplus items. The city does, for those items that may have some value on the open market, the city does use the internet auction site to reach the largest audiences and bring the largest market value for that property while the lowest possible administrative cost to the city. This year, the city's organization and leadership development program, City Team 1, is partnering with a local organization to provide surplus bicycles that have been confiscated pretty much through police activity here in the community to children and families in need as part of their service project and assignment. So it's really a nice use of bicycles that the city has obtained through different activities. With that, ordinance 2023-87 is recommended for adoption. Happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved?
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, I need a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spade?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey?
Yes.
Okay, item 24, ordinance 2023-88. I need a motion to read by title only, please.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed?
Directing and authorizing the city manager and finance director to commence funding and development for 2023 Gould Park development in accordance with Gould Family Trust contract, deed, covenants, and restrictions, and 2004 Parks Master Plan.
Okay, Eric?
Yes, last week, Councilmember Grossman, and per the charter, council members can request for legislation to be placed on the agenda. She submitted this language requesting that it be placed on the agenda as ordinance 2023-88. So that's how it appears here.
Okay. All right, thank you, Eric.
Should say she requests this as a way to initiate conversation on furthering Gould Park.
Okay, I need a motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
Second?
Okay, and in light of information that I know, I'm pretty sure that's going to happen during committee reports, which I think is very exciting. I am hoping that we can continue this discussion into the next meeting next month, and so I would like to ask for a roll call on this. So if you would do a roll call on suspending the rule and allowing for adoption after the first reading.
Councilmember Stricula?
Yes.
Mayor Spade?
No.
Vice Mayor Nelson?
So this is so we can have a second reading next.
A second reading and the next meeting in November.
Okay, so no.
Councilmember Bradburn?
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey? Councilmember Grossman?
Yes.
Okay, so you want to explain that, Jeff?
Yes, I apologize, I lost count, but the charter requires that to suspend the rule to adopt something after one reading requires 5 affirmative votes, and I don't think, it did not receive enough votes to adopt it with the first reading. That means it will appear on the next agenda as a second reading.
Okay, so we're on to committee reports, item number 25, and I believe, yes, Councilmember Stricula, I think we have some good information to share with everybody.
Yeah, I think in light of ordinance 2023-88. Maybe it makes sense that I go first, if that's all right, because we did have a discussion about Gould Park. There are some other things that we talked about too, so I'll touch on those, which we hit on tonight. Ordinance 79 was David Lane. We talked about the need for some additional infrastructure costs there with the findings of the additional water line. Sorry, excuse me. And we did talk about Gould Park. Back last year, we did set aside some funds within the budget to start the planning process with Gould Park. We saw some renderings in July at the July meeting on what that could look like, and then finalized that at the last meeting. So we are having a naming ceremony for Gould Park on December 11th. Unveiling of the sign, which says Future Home of Gould Park. Some nice landscaping. Looking at a historical society partnership as well, again, to honor the history that's there. And then further on, the additional inventory planning, business planning, a comprehensive planning within the park system. So again, last year we did initiate that planning on Gould Park. We're looking forward to continuing to do that with relationship to the rest of the parks as well, and discussing that in the future budget meetings, which are coming up, where we're set aside some additional funds for that planning process. And then we talked about, again, some of the other ordinances here, the vac truck. We talked about the need for that. We talked about looking forward, Mason of the future, and what that looks like with electric vehicles and alternate plane there. They are coming, and how that works with integrating those within our fleet, needing the infrastructure for that, and just got word actually today, so after the meeting though, that the first charging station in Mason is going up at the Fifth Third parking lot. So we got those parts in today, so I guess we can start doing that, which is good. So again, baby steps towards implementation with that, but looking towards the future. And then the final note, which I guess I already talked about, but budget hearings are going to be started here pretty soon, so they're meeting.
All right, thank you. Is there any other committee reports? Yes, Councilmember Hackey.
Thank you. So we also had a meeting of the Safety Committee. Very busy meeting. We covered a lot of stuff, so I'll try and get through this real quick. First off, our fire department was tasked with looking at the safe haven baby boxes. There is some new legislation coming down from the state that concerns manning of these boxes to ensure that obviously the safety of the babies that are surrendered. So at the moment they've done a lot of research, but at this time it doesn't make sense to implement, but there's more to come on that. So that's not dead, it's just we need to see what the legislation is going to look like and how that will affect manning. A lot of talk about campus safety. A recurring theme is that we need more officers. It's becoming very difficult to hire, which is nothing new, getting qualified officers to come in. So not only is that an issue, but we've also got other agencies requesting to be a part of this. Kings Island would like to expand their participation in it. We've also got St. Susanna has asked to have their school included in the campus safety, as well as the Warren County Educational Service Center. So staff is looking at how this will work, and if I recall, that is a fee-based service, correct, Eric?
Yeah, I wouldn't describe it as fee-based. You buy into the program,
Right.
So our ability to expand it depends on the scope of participation, but the city does underwrite the costs of that, kind of the human infrastructure.
Right, thank you. Let's see, what else? We talked about the Tylersville, Mason Montgomery Road intersection lighting, requested to see if there might be some type of a temporary solution that we can do. Yeah, as Mr. Seiler told us, I believe at the last meeting, there are some issues with that. There are plans for future improvements there. So trying to do this in a responsible manner that's not only looking at funds and not overspending on it, but also with a look at the safety concerns that we have in that intersection. So they're seeing if they can come up with something for that. about a year ago, a little over a year ago, in the Safety Committee, I requested that we review looking at putting a crosswalk on 42 going across from the public parking behind Comet Grill, Mason Grill rather, and over toward Odesso and the Whippy Dip. Well, so unfortunately, based on some of the restrictions on how this can be done, it requires a safety, what do they call it, Kurt? An island refuge?
Refuge Island, yep.
Yeah. This would require widening the road there, taking some property, which is a bit of a concern, but the bigger concern is then there is no left turn into Odesso and the Whippy Dip from southbound 42, no left turn out to southbound 42, which is a very huge concern that could have a major impact on those businesses. So we're looking at options to see if there are other ways to address those concerns, but that's still a major concern of mine, and hopefully we can come up with something. A bridge, yes, yes.
Okay, is there anyone else have a committee report? Are you, I'm sorry.
Not done.
Okay, I apologize. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Two last items on that. The police department went to 12-hour shifts a few months back. And as it stands, it's looking like this has been a very popular solution for the officers. It normalizes their time off a little more. And at the moment, it looks like this is a program that's going to continue. And then last, fire response times were discussed. This is going to be a major discussion. So we've got another meeting scheduled for Monday, I believe. And that is, we're gonna talk more about response times and what we can and need to do or don't need to do with regard to that. So that's it. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Councilmember Grossman.
Yes. Mayor, if it's okay, I do have a Park Advisory Board report, but may I ask a follow-up question to the Finance Committee report?
Go ahead and do your committee report first.
Sure, it's relevant. I just, anyway, okay, so Park Advisory Board meets monthly on the second Thursday, and so we actually are due to meet this coming Thursday. So some of the information that I would have had to report on all the happenings and doings in Mason have already happened, but I'll get a lot of updates on that coming up. So on September 14th, the motion was passed by the Park Advisory Board with a recommendation to council to fund a renewal or updated parks master plan. The board has discussed ideas to update it over the past year, but wondered what steps are necessary to get the project started, as the members are eager to serve and work on the updates. We discussed the 2004 park master plan concept for Gould Park. In addition to that, the board would like to see that prioritized with any necessary updates. The board members were unaware of some of the restrictions, so the motion was passed to update the plan consistent with those requirements and the wishes of Mrs. Gould and the covenants and deed restrictions. I believe some residents supporting Gould Park plan to attend this Thursday's meeting to educate the Park Advisory Board on their support and enthusiasm to see Gould Park develop after 20 years. Chrissy Avery also gave us all the updates about all the happenings around town. Lots going on. We had the Heritage Festival. We had, I think it was International Dance Day and many other fun activities. Lots going on at the Aquatic Center, cross-country meets, high school band expos, which happened this past weekend. So we, again, have such a vibrant community to celebrate here in Mason. And then finally, I wanted to say that on behalf of the Park Advisory Board and our constituents who are eager to see the People's Park at Gould developed, I'd want to invite and encourage the Finance Committee to consider appropriation of funds for a new Parks Master Plan in the 2024 budget meetings. And I understand that there's been dialogue about that among staff. And so staff is very supportive of that idea as well, from what I understand. And And I hope that we'll have good news about that at our November meeting. And my follow-up question for the finance director or finance here is that what renderings were shown to the finance committee or concept that you mentioned?
We were showing renderings and concepts of I hesitate, it wasn't an entryway, but more of just a monument signage, just there's benches, nice landscaping, nice walkway that went back there, just introducing, and this is right on Mason Road, so introducing the community and letting everybody know that, hey, here, this is where Gould Park will be without it being a potential entrance, I guess, at that point, but where the old home was that had to come down. So so that's what we saw, and then we saw the final renderings then at the last meeting.
Eric, can you add to that or just explain a little bit more about that? Because I'm sure some people in the audience are probably interested in what's happening with that.
The renderings were, as Councilmember Strickland indicated, of a signage piece where the homestead went, some improvements along the sidewalks along Mason Road to kind of commemorate the naming of the area behind it as Gould Park. That was taken as an initial step in an area that is accessible, would be convenient to pedestrians or bike paths without encouraging traffic into the field, which may not be safe or prepared. So it sets the tone, gives a name, gives a presence of Gould Park. And I think those are the pictures, the renderings indicating how that would work. The committee recommended that. I believe later this week, next week, some of the concrete work will commence.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have a committee report? Mayor? Yes.
I do. Well, first, the Downtown Committee did not meet this last month. The Veterans Committee met, and we discussed the November 11th Veterans Day celebration and went over some of the details of that. And, of course, the Arts and Culture Committee met. We had spoken about the Southwest Philharmonic concert that was performed on September 29th, America the Beautiful, which celebrated our 20th anniversary of our Veterans Memorial. It was a huge success. Michael Williams was there from American Idol. The community really came out and enjoyed it. And of course, I'm going to repeat these because I'm on the Arts Committee and this is what we talked about. So it never hurts to kind of drill it in, right? Picture Mason Downtown is coming up this October 21st from 3 to 7. And I have already seen some of the individuals' art, and it is phenomenal. So I'm super excited to see what other pieces have been painted that represent our city. So I'm excited for that. And of course, we've talked about this a couple times, but the Mason Symphony Orchestra has the Peter and the Wolf concert. If you want more information or to buy tickets, go to www.mso.org. That's going to be a great event. And that's all I have for committee reports.
All right, thank you. Anybody else have a committee report? Okay, we'll go on to item 26, old and new business. Anybody else have old and new business? Or anybody have old and new business? Yes, Councilmember Grossman.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to do a little bit of follow-up with some questions on Gould Park. I mean, obviously, I'm really disappointed that we couldn't have that council discussion tonight. The action item on our agenda was placed there in response to several things, one being the recommendations of our Park Advisory Board Committee, another being that some time ago, council passed a motion that we could only discuss Gould Park if it were listed as an agenda item. And so I placed those items on there so that I could report from the committee, but also I observed over the last year or so a lack of meaningful progress or reporting on Gould Park. And it sounds like the Finance Committee did some things. So we've got, at staff's initiative, a sign designed and an entryway designed. This went on the agenda on Thursday. We got our packets, and nobody from council thought to call me and say, hey, we're actually starting to talk about this. The fact that you wouldn't even let us unpack and discuss tonight just comes across very poorly to me personally. and as a representative of the community. And we have people here that have been here for going on 2.5 hours. They scheduled their night. This means a lot to them, and I'm just not confident in what we'll experience another month from now based on the lack of communication up till now. So I'm just really sad that that happened, but there are a couple things that I would have asked our city manager during council discussion, so I'm going to go ahead and ask those now. City Manager Hanson, have any alternative plans or ideas or intentions been communicated to you or anybody on staff about usage or concepts for Gould Park since we decided not to have the art center there and that was announced to the public?
Alternative uses to a park? No.
Okay. Nobody's expressed any wishes to do anything with roadways or any kind of anything with all or part of Gould property?
With all the Gould property?
Yeah.
Roadways? No.
Okay. So that's good news. I'm really glad. I know that the parks master plan needs to be updated and some action needs to be taken, but I don't understand what the hindrance is to collaborate and work on this issue. I mean, I guess one practical hindrance is that the committee that works on parks was disbanded by the mayor earlier, and so we don't have a committee that does that, unfortunately. I would have loved to have been a part of that, but she disbanded that committee that I served on with Member Bradburn and Member Stricula. So the ability to collaborate's been really difficult. I did try to collaborate with Member Hackey and Member Bradburn prior to when I put this on the agenda, and my meeting with Mr. Bradburn went really well. We talked about it. We were open. Not so well with Mr. Hackey, but I really hope that he will come along and be supportive of this. It's about creating a starting point. We've invested $175,000 now in a brand new orchestra. The first $75,000 grant was basically unknown to most of us. And we've invested $180,000 in a grant to our CDC without knowing what the final product will be. I understand that there are some hurdles to overcome with understanding the restrictions in the covenant, the language in the deed covenants and restrictions, and coming up with a plan that is consistent with what Mrs. Gould approved. But we have to start somewhere. And I had hoped that tonight would be the starting point to create some certainty for the hundreds of households near that park and the many, many people that are very concerned about its future. They've been waiting for 20 years. And I can't understand why we can't get started. We've had a solid year of enthusiastic feedback about Gould Park, but I would say it's probably been 1.5 years since the covenants and restrictions were brought to our attention. So I'm just very disappointed that that happened tonight. Nobody could call me and give me a heads up. I know I spent time preparing for it, and these people out here spent their evening and spent time preparing for it. So I really, really hope for a positive outcome and that this passes unanimously in our November meeting so that we can get started. I know the funds are there. I know there are plenty of funds for planning purposes in the Gould Park Fund that accumulated revenue from farming leases. So at least getting started is fundable from what we already have set aside for Gould Park. Now, it was never intended to fund the entire park. Mason will have to identify funds, and you'll see in the ordinance that we will lean on the finance director's recommendation from that. But I can assure you that Mason is a very affluent community and can afford to develop this park. But it will take a long time. It'll probably take a whole year just to get plans done. So if we just keep, sitting on our hands and not moving, I don't know, maybe it'll be another 20 years. Maybe we'll all be dead before it gets done, but I hope this council will prioritize it. The only reason that it isn't started yet is because this council did not prioritize it. I guess that's all I have for old and new business. Thanks, everybody. And I'm sorry to the Gould Park supporters that came out tonight.
Okay, anybody else have any old and new business?
Mayor, I do.
Yes.
Just a few things, just reporting from the state of Ohio. The State Budget Stabilization Fund, also known as the Rainy Day Fund, now has a record $3.7 billion. So it's kind of interesting. And also, Hamilton County Judge temporarily blocked the state of Ohio from enforcing laws that prohibit municipalities from enacting gun and knife regulations as part of the City of Cincinnati's lawsuit against the state. Currently, the lawsuit against the state states that the state laws violate the Home Rule Authority provisions within the Ohio Constitution. And I always watch out for any kind of home rule provision violations because it directly impacts our community. Also, the Warren County Municipal League is having a dinner on October 13th. Our speaker is Auditor Matt Nolan, and he will give an update on the auditor's office and will address the property tax, the property values and taxes. So if any of council would like to attend, please let Eric or Jennifer know so we could mark you on the list. I had my National League of Cities, Small Cities Council meeting in September, and we just discussed different grants for different communities. In November, we're having a big meeting, and it's going to be in regards to the Small Business Administration will be there, and they'll talk to us about how to bring small businesses into your community, and once they are in your community, how we can help support them to make them vibrant and profitable and keep them within our community. So that is the one I am really looking forward to, and I will keep you posted on that. And that is all that I have for old and new business.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have anything? Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
sometime back, I had asked the city manager, had he heard anything from the Mason Arts Council in regards to the second location? Did you have a chance to know if they're even in existence?
I'm sorry, say that again. I've missed.
I had asked as far as to you sometime back, Mason Arts Council, as far as the reception of the second location to locate. Have you heard anything from them, or did you miss that request? I can pull
It's
it
been
back.
some months since there was any dialogue. They're aware of the location, the city's willingness to provide that. I couldn't speak to their meetings or.
Okay.
I don't know where they're at on that.
So as far as we know, NMA, no measurable activity?
No measurable activity. I know they've had other issues going on. I've not received any confirmation or any direction on that.
You know, I too am disappointed. For some reason, there's some people that seem to want to drag their feet. I don't know what the reason is. Could be financial, economics. All I can say as a council member, if we can find millions of dollars to keep tennis in the city of Mason, we can find money to go ahead and develop Gould Park.
Okay, anybody else have any? Yes, Councilmember Hackey.
Thanks, Mayor. On the Gould Park issue, I just want to explain that I have no intention of ever voting on any kind of development on that property that is commercial or residential. My issue tonight is with the language in this ordinance. There's work that needs to be done. We've talked about it. We talked about it in the Finance Committee. We are looking at moving forward. There are ways to do this and there are ways to not do this. There are some issues that have come to light as this process has come forward in terms of making this a more difficult process. I fully support Gould Park being a park, 100%. And I just ask for some patience as we get through this process and we clean up some stuff so that when legislation is passed on this, that it makes sense and that it's the right thing to do for the city and for the residents and for the neighbors of the park. That's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Stricula, did you have anything?
I guess just maybe to provide some clarity on the master plan for the parks. I mean, that maybe it wasn't clear enough on that. That's part of the budget discussions, is putting money in for a master parks plan, including and prioritizing Gould Park. So hopefully that's a little bit clearer. Thanks.
Okay, and I would just like to say a couple things too. I am in full support of Gold Park. I think most of us up here are. We did not get rid of this ordinance. It's just a first reading. That means we're bringing it back for the next meeting. I think between now and the next month, there's going to be a lot of activity occurring that I think will be beneficial to possibly move this ordinance forward, or if it needs to be cleaned up. I do think there's some things in it that need to be cleaned up. There's some confusion about some of the wording of different things in there. But also, I want to make clear that this is one reason why I think it's always difficult when council members try to write ordinances. We really need our law director to do that, because there's been a lot of times in the past when maybe an ordinance was passed and then we had to go back and revise it and pass it again because of incorrect things that were in there or things that they found out later needed to be changed. That's why I'm okay to leave this for a first reading. We bring this back next month and get it looked at again by our law director. The other thing that I just want to clarify, because it frustrates me, I had appointed a committee called Community and Recreation. It was never a park board or a park committee. I disbanded that for reasons that I wanted to keep private because of the reputations of Councilmember Bradburn and Councilmember Grossman. I keep hearing that I disbanded it probably on purpose because I'm trying to avoid developing Gould Park. It has nothing to do with it. Councilmember Grossman I appointed her to the Park Advisory Board 2 years ago, so she's had 2 years to talk about Gould Park on the Park Advisory Board, which is a charter mandated committee. It's also my understanding the ordinance that she presented tonight, she's had it for quite a long time. So to bring it at this last minute hour, right before the election, I also think is somewhat what I'm not going to say. But I do want to continue this discussion. We are going to do something for Gould Park. We want to do it right. We're not going to rush into it. And I'm sorry it's taken so long. I really am sorry that it has taken so long. But, you know, good things come to those who wait. And everything does take a long time to happen when in city business. So I hope that you all will be patient. I promise you, I don't know anybody on this board that wants to prevent the development of Gould Park the way the citizens want it to be. We just want to do it right. So with that, I'm going to move on to recognition of visitors, item number 27. Is there anyone else that would like to come back up, please?
Plenty of us from the neighborhood. You say to be patient, 20 years, and you say you support it. All of you were made aware of the deed over a year ago, and you still have done nothing. You say you support it, but what have you done? And what language was in there that bothers you, that we can't, that could not have been talked about prior to this, that could have been changed? Jeff, did you approve this? Was this language okay? I mean, why? This is very frustrating to us, and your silence, I took out this strong language because I wanted to be nice. I can't extend an olive branch and then get nasty. So here we go. Your silence and not moving forward, and your refusal to answer questions specifically as far as what you want to do with that property. You can say, we want to do that, but what are you doing? How are you doing? We want to know details. What are you doing? Because if you don't tell us and it's not clear, then it tells us you oppose the deed and you're opposing the restrictions and you're not working with the family in the honor of what that property is to be. Each of you stated before, you heard about the deed restrictions, but what have you done? I've come here, you've all clearly ignored me. And when I've asked you specifically, what are your plans? What are your plans? You're running for election. I want to know who on this, because you all said your yes and no's too quick, who wants to table this and who's willing to talk about it? Because that's clear to me. I want to know who's going to get reelected. That's important. Our Gould Park Committee represents hundreds of households that support a leisure park, and we're strong. and we are willing to take the necessary steps to ensure the land as Eleanor Gould intended. We want to work together with council and other organizations to do what is in the best interest of the Mason community. We've got science, we've got the Bible, and we've got a legal contract, and the Constitution support the Averbeck family's vision for a park. You have heard loud and clear what that looks like. Why you're not saying to us what that looks like is a big red flag. We want to know what your plans are and not say, oh, we're going to talk about it next month. Do you know the work and energy and sleepless nights that have gone into this because of your silence? This just isn't fair. You've got to move forward. You have plenty of opportunity to talk about it. Well, we want to do it right. We want you to do it right too, but do it. You have the guidelines. You have the plans. You can be this council that's going to make it happen. And again, since 2004, the council has not done the right thing for the Averbeck family and Eleanor Gould. A sign to say it's a park tells us nothing. We appreciate that, but that doesn't tell us what's going behind that park. I'm not kidding you. That person that bought that house for $500,000 with a wooded lot and protective land, we need to know that's protected. So I'm sorry to take so much time, but you know, we're all here for 2 hours. To say you're going to talk about it next month is very disappointing. We have the power, we have the Constitution behind us, and you say there's going to be activity between now and next month, as was us as well. We will be active, very active, in making sure that that property is done the correct way to honor Eleanor Gould.
I would like, if you would, I would like for Eric Hansen to address, there has been some conversations that have been happening over the past year, and I would like for you to explain to them, because they feel like there's nothing been done, and there has been some conversations that have been happening toward movement.
There have been numerous conversations with resident groups, with the committee, with folks that have been here. We have had discussions. We've talked about building trust. We've talked about the deed restrictions. We've talked with the Averbecks or with representatives of the Averbecks. There's been ongoing dialogue to both heal, some of the mistrust. I think what I have said repeatedly and should be absolutely clear, council cannot use that property for any commercial use. The reason it was bought initially, the whole purpose for why it was purchased, was to avoid housing. The price that was paid for it was the market price if it had developed for housing. What unified the entire community, both neighbors and others, is did not want an increase in density for housing. That was the purpose behind the initial purchase. Our conversations, both with neighbors, with residents, with the council, as well as the Averbecks, have reaffirmed that. I think some of the what I would call mistrust or how different versions of how the deed restriction should be interpreted, or what the Averbecks' intentions or what the master plan did, is what's created some of the conflicts. Some of the accepted interpretations of that has created some of the mistrust, and the more folks maybe dig in on a preferred interpretation of that has led to some of the gaps in communication. I would say to anyone in this room, and I know some of the folks in the room are aware of that, we've had ongoing dialogue to try and heal some of that miscommunication. I can tell you, and I think I could speak from everyone on council, I am not aware of any intent to develop that and never has been intent to develop it in any way that doesn't represent a park or park usage in compliance with the deed restrictions.
Thank you. Does anybody else want to come to the podium and address council, please? Yes.
From what I heard this evening, there was positive comments from each council member moving forward, and we appreciate that. There has been a lot of mistrust, and there has been a lot of sleepless hours, and a lot of work behind the scenes. And I think each of you appreciate that. You've all worked on projects before, and that's exactly what's gone on here. We've taken it personal because we live there. But I did want to remind council this, and City Manager Hansen understands that Larry is not a man of steel. He's a very kind man, generous man. And he also wants to see this developed per council in the neighborhood wishes. He is willing to offer at least a indemnification or more indemnifications to make this work for today. And he's the man that can do that per the contract. So we just want you to keep that in mind as you go down and bury yourself this next month and bring back an exciting project for us. We're excited for that. But remember that Mr. Averbeck is there to work with you and make this as easy of a process as we can all make together. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Did anybody else want to come up, please, to the podium? Yes.
Mayor, can I just say one thing real quick?
I'm sorry, what?
Can I just say one thing?
Well, let's her address this.
Okay.
Thank you, Council. My name is Lindy Powell. I reside at 105 Carnell Place. And like Shar, I've heard some of the positive comments. The only thing I want to add is I almost get the feel there's a lot of emotions. And for me, I realize we're excited about the park, but we're not quite seeing this with the City Council. I understand the art. I see this park as being something that everybody can enjoy. And when I say everybody, I get the sense that you guys think that it's just a few of us. Keep in mind where I live, yes, it's a small little development, but behind us is over 3,000 residents in Birchwood Farms. We all would love to enjoy this park. My husband right now loves the parks. He gets in his car and he drives up to Kings Mills Road to Pine Hill. We've been at this residence for 30 years, and our hope and wish is for everybody. But like I said, we're just a small area, but Birchwood Farms is over 3,000 residents that could enjoy this park. And we just ask again, please let this happen. We're done. We're just, when I hear Gould Park, I get it. I see all the heads go down. Oh, dear God, here we go again. We see it, we feel it, but it's just time. This could be an exciting thing, and I'm not saying the excitement. I think it's an exciting thing that we can merge with, with the Mason Mile. I see this as being something just beautiful to downtown Mason. But I'm not seeing the same reaction from many of you. And I do hope that you just rethink this, and we really want this to go. But keep in mind, there's power in numbers, all right? And so this really affects over 3,000 people, this park. So thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you. Did anybody else want to come to the podium? Yes, Mr. Fox.
Jim Fox, 136 Kings Mills Road. I was not on council when the Gould Park was bought. It was shortly after I served years ago. But to put things in a little more perspective, and I appreciate your frustration. I know that once things get moving, you want it to happen now, and I understand that. But I would like to point out that 2004, that's when it was purchased, is that correct? 2003. That's 20 years ago, and when you refer to council, there are several councils that have been involved in 20 years. And from an outsider looking in, it seems to me like this council has done more. There's been more movement on Gould Park in the last 2 years under this council than there has been in the previous 18 years combined. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to come up to the podium, please, and speak to council? Yes, please come forward.
Hi, Joy Bennett, 1054 Willow Lane. I was just curious if you can tell us a little bit more about the budget hearing process. Eric, you mentioned that at one point this evening, and I think that, Josh, you mentioned it as well, like that it's happening soon, and that there's a link there with some of the proposals that were on the agenda tonight. Could you tell us a little bit more about how that works? Like, are they open to the public? Are they purely done by the city staff, and then you make recommendations to council? Like, how does that work? And if you know, a committee wanted to request appropriation for funds, is that something that they could submit into the process? Like, can you just tell us a little bit more about how it works?
Yeah, I'm afraid I'll disappoint. If we say budget hearings, it sounds maybe more grandiose than it is. There is a finance committee of council, and one of their, and maybe their primary workload through the year is to move forward with the appropriation ordinance, which is the budget for the subsequent year. And finance committee often goes through this. The budget, sometimes its significance can be exaggerated. The budget is at its core a kind of guideline. And so a lot of the legislation that will come before council are items that that we've been planning for to move into the budget: equipment, staffing, projects. And in a city like Mason, capital projects tend to be a significant part of that, and they tend to have a long lead time. So it may be, you may see different times, and you know, this year we may be budgeting for concepts, and the next year is some planning, and then engineering, and then a construction period that may go multiple years. The finance committee will hold meetings, and we'll go through to some level the budgets submitted by, well, ultimately the budget recommendation that I bring, which is a culmination of all the departments, what their needs, what their priorities are, and then we bring in a balanced budget. We make sure that we have projected funds to accomplish those. And the finance committee will engage in discussions of all those. Oftentimes that will take multiple meetings. Oftentimes in years like this, we are under the gun because there have been a lot of other things crowding the agenda, and so we may try and consolidate that. The one thing to remember, though, is that budget, whatever's adopted as that appropriation ordinance, it is the planning guideline. It does not constrain, it does not compel council in the subsequent year. So we may budget for, make up whatever it is. That doesn't mean that council, when it comes before them on an agenda, has to adopt that expense just because it was in the budget. Neither does it mean that they can't do other things that weren't in the budget. And in a community like Mason, we tend to have a lot of flexibility. We do a very conservative budget, and so there often is a lot of latitude. Certainly in recent years, what you've often heard me tell the finance committee is it's more an effort of time. You know, the dollars aren't always as controlling. They may become that in future years, as it is the capacity to take on projects, to do things. There is not the time, or what we sometimes call the oxygen, to do all things at once for all people, or for all projects. A lot of that is also driven by funding opportunities, typically grants in capital projects. So to answer your question, any committee meeting is absolutely open to the public. On rare occasions, there may be executive session. That's pretty rare in committees. So any meetings of the finance committee to discuss the budget or otherwise are open to the public. They can be exhausting around budget time. And oftentimes things will be budgeted as placeholders. I think that is typical as we move forward in that stage. Did I leave any questions out?
Public input into those decisions?
As far as the budget itself, the finance committee, it's typically analytical at that point. Certainly it's a compilation of input throughout the year, requests throughout here, planning documents that have 10-year plus horizons. I don't want to say that input is unwelcome. It's certainly invited and accessible. At the stage when you're talking about the budget and moving forward to adoption, it's not a program part of the process.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for following up on the lighting question for Tylersville and Mason Montgomery Road. I guess I would love to see another way of communicating that kind of follow-up. It's like if I hadn't been here and if I didn't watch the meeting replay, I wouldn't know that you actually took some action on my question, which was really exciting to hear tonight. So I guess I'd just love to see some other way for us to follow up with people and let people know that, like, I have heard all of you mention specific things, questions that have come up in previous meetings that you're following up on, which is great. But if we don't come here to hear it, we don't know that's happening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else want to come to the podium? Yes, Mr. Looker.
John Looker, 111 East Main Street. I would like to thank the city, not only for the recognition they gave me tonight, but also for the support they've given me throughout the year. There is no way that I would have got inducted into this Hall of Fame without the support of the city. And I'd like to thank you and some of the other people. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you very much. Anyone else want to come forward and speak to council? Okay. Well, with that, I'm going to go to, we have an executive session, and I need a motion to adjourn into executive session for the purpose of discussing employment compensation of public employees.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, roll call.
Mayor Spaeth,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn,
Yes.
Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Strickland.
Yes.
I should mention, both for ICRC and the public, we do anticipate there could be legislation following the executive session.
So moved.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, and then I need a motion to add ordinance 2023-89.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? Okay, a motion to read by title only, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Jeff?
Approving the collective bargaining agreements between the City of Mason and the Mason Police Association and authorizing the city manager to execute the agreements and declaring an emergency.
Okay, is anyone doing any other discussion or no? No other discussion? Okay. Okay, motion to suspend the rule and allow for adoption after the first reading.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Anyone opposed? A motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any council discussion? Okay, roll call.
Vice Mayor Nelson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bradburn. Yes. Councilmember Hackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Grossman,
Yes.
Councilmember Stricula,
Yes.
Mayor Spaeth.
Yes. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn, please.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Yes.
Thank you.